If you adjust your trigger or install a replacement trigger, how do you know you've done a good job? That's why you need a trigger pull gauge, and we're going to take a look at one of the most popular ones on this episode of Moondog Industries. This is the Lyman electronic digital trigger pull gauge, and this is actually lent to me by my buddy Bruce. Thanks, Bruce, for lending this to me. But this claims to be the world's most accurate trigger gauge, and he even says so in the packaging here, though the packaging is cheap clamshell style, so it doesn't lend itself to a lot of confidence. But let's open it up, and inside we actually do see a pretty well-made product here. And it actually turned itself on because I just bumped it as I was taking it out. So any press on any of these buttons turns this on, and it automatically turns itself off after about a minute or two of no use. So don't worry too much about it accidentally turning on. It has a built-in kill switch, so you won't be using up battery. But you can find the user manual on how to use it. It's pretty short in the back underneath the foam here, and it is a nice case. They even took the time and effort to emboss their logo on here, so that again says something about their level of craftsmanship at Lyman. And the unit itself feels actually pretty good. It has a good amount of weight. Just the construction seems like they took a bit more care and better materials than you typically find. So this bodes well. Now it's powered by two AAA batteries, so that's easy enough to use, and it has a built-in extending measurement arm. This has a rotating little rest for your trigger. You put your trigger there, and then you just gently pull on the device, and that's how you measure. You gauge the trigger pull. Now the extending arm indexes and rotates, so you can set it up into different positions as you need to be able to clear your firearm and your rest, so that you have a clear path of pull that's unobstructed, and you're also able, if you want to get an immediate read on the display, depending on your orientation of your firearm and where you are and where it's rested on, what have you, and it stows away pretty easily. And as I mentioned, it has an automatic on feature, and it has an automatic off after about a minute or two, but you can also turn it off by pressing the clear button for about 4 or 5 seconds. There we go, it's off. And to turn it on, just press any of the buttons. It cycles through, and it says P1.0. I don't know what that means. It might be the firmware number. If you know what that means, happen to know, please leave me a comment. But it has 4 buttons. There's an average button, a clear button, a pound and gram button, so you can cycle through either 2 modes, metric or imperial. So it gives you your pounds and ounces, kilograms and grams. Clear button clears the total results. You can do multiple measurements and it will average it. And once you're done with that, you can clear the results by pressing the clear button. But let's just show you how this works by extending it out here. I'm going to use my finger as a proxy for a trigger. So you press the ready button, and when it's ready, when it measures no resistance, and might have to hold it super still and just make sure that nothing's touching. There we go. And then you can see immediately, even just a light pull on there, that's 15 ounces, almost a pound. So let's say if you want to just double check your measurements, you just press ready again. There we go, and then pull. The second one was 2 pounds, 1.1 ounces, and you can get an average by pressing average. You get 1 pound, 8.1 ounces. So that's how this works. And you can turn it off. But the question is, just how accurate is this? Well, you are looking at essentially a bathroom scale shrunk down and sideways, because this is measuring trigger pull, which is what the weight is of that would be required to activate your trigger. So if you have a 2-pound trigger and you tied a string to it, and you weighed that string and you held your firearm vertically, and you tied a 2-pound weight to the end of that string, that weight would be enough to break your trigger, to activate your trigger. And if you had a 1-pound weight on a 2-pound trigger, it wouldn't activate. So we're measuring basically weight here. So how accurate is this? Well, we can easily determine that by comparing this, using this to essentially lift up a known weight and seeing what it reads out here. So if I had a 1-pound weight, it should read 1 pound or 16 ounces. So we can do that, and let's try that out next.
we're going to use this can of Diet Coke as our reference weight, and it weighs exactly 13.14 ounces. And the reason we're using a Coke is because they're pretty consistent whether you buy one in San Francisco or a Piggly Wiggly in Sarasota, Florida, or a bodega in New York City.
Alright, so we have our Lyman trigger gauge here, and we have our reference weight, which we weighed previously, and it weighs exactly 13.14 ounces. So if we pull up and lift this weight here, we should record 13.14 ounces if it is accurate. So let's just get this trigger hook around this paper clip and set the ready button, and gently, ever so gently, lift straight up and set down 13.3. Wow, okay, so that is pretty darn close to 13.14. So let's just get an average here. Let's do 2 more. All right, and we gently lift up and gently set down 13.1. So that's essentially what the actual reading was on our precision scale. Let's just get one more reading here. All right, and again, gently lift up, straight up, and gently set down 14. So let's get our average here, 13.5. Not exactly the 13.14 that we measured with our precision scale, but still pretty darn close. If you want a little more accurate, perhaps you'll have to get into a more expensive model or a real scientific instrument, but that's still pretty darn close. But of course, the proof is in the pudding. Let's measure it. Let's see how this works with an actual trigger. Alright, we have our Lyman here, and we have our test bed, which is my Ruger Precision Rimfire rifle. This is a factory stock rifle. I haven't made any internal changes to this. It comes with a user adjustable trigger, and a really nice design, by the way, in terms of how you can manipulate the trigger weight, as well as it comes with an Allen wrench and a little anyway. Okay, before we get started, let's just check in our safety condition of our firearm. We've taken out our chamber flags. We know the chamber's empty, and I'm just checking there's no magazine in the mag well. So let's just close that bolt, and it is off of safe. So we can now check our trigger. So let's just get this ready. And I found that if you do a quick press on the ready button, that will activate it more rather than continuously pressing until you hear a sound. So just a quick tap on that should get it ready. And then I've got it on the trigger, and let's just put a gentle pull back. There we go. 1 pound 15.5 ounces, so just under 2 pounds. All right, let's try that again. Let's get an average of 5 here. Okay, and 1 pound 15.4. Okay, so pretty consistent there, just under a pound. That one, let's not forget to hit that ready. 1 pound 9.6. Okay. And let's just make sure, give this a nice even pull. Oh, interesting. 2 pounds, 2.2 ounces. Okay, let's go one more. All right, and £2, 1.3 ounces. So let's get an average here, and we have an average of 1 pound 15.2 ounces, so just under 2 pounds, or practically 2 pounds here. So very easy to use, as we can see here. But one thing that's interesting here is that I noticed that when I pulled very, very slowly, I got a slightly heavier weight. So here, hold on, let me just check this. I'm going to try one more. Well, let's clear that because I don't want to mess up our average. Let's go super, super slow. 2 pounds 11, but if I go sort of a normal trigger pull, I mean not jerky, but still not super slow, 1 pound 15. So that's an interesting result there. Is it, this seemed, I mean this is a pretty, seemed like a pretty consistent measuring device here when we did our dead weight pull. Could it be that the trigger on the Ruger Precision Rimfire is inconsistent, that if you give it a very gradual, slow pull, that you actually get a heavier weight trigger pull? Let's try that one more time just to see. We'll go with a very super slow trigger pull here. Okay, we got it resting on the trigger, and I'm just going to give it a very slow, methodical. Interesting. And let's try again with a slightly faster pull. Yeah, that would seem to indicate that the trigger on the Ruger Precision Rimfire is slightly lighter when you give it a quicker pull. Okay, well, we should look into this and see. If you happen to have any experience with the Ruger Precision Rimfire's factory trigger, or if you happen to work for Ruger, please let me know in the comments what kind of results you get. But that's interesting. See, I wouldn't have known that had I not gotten a Lyman trigger gauge, because you know, this is precise enough that I could get into the ounces. Now, is this worth it? Well, for this particular bit of knowledge, I would say yes, definitely worth the $50. And of course, I borrowed this. So, but if you're interested in picking one of these up, I'll include a link to the product so you can pick one up yourself. You can find it in the article on my blog at moondogindustries.com, and I'll include a link to that article in the video description. And if you purchase it from that link, of course, you'll help support this channel and won't cost you anything more. But if you want to support this channel absolutely free, you can just simply hit the like and subscribe button, because that tells the AI that this is good content and it'll recommend it to other folks like you. And it has a benefit for you because the AI knows that this is the kind of content you like to watch, and you'll get recommended more videos like this, same caliber, same subject matter on your feed, as opposed to, I don't know, K-pop videos. So, unless you're into BTS. Anyway, thanks again for watching. You stay safe out there. Moondog, out.
Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please share it on forums, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, MeWe, whatever social media you're on. And if you want to see all of my videos, check out moondogindustries.com.